Alright, look, Gabriella, my name's Jessica. Yeah, alright, listen here, Barbara. I just don't want a relationship right now. Man's just trying to... Do you mind, lads? I'm in the middle of something here. Yo guys, it is your boy Nearin here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, is the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, Twitter is under new ownership and has a new CEO, who said this week that he wants to change the site to a place where pictures of people can't be used without the consent of that individual person.
You are just a fool.
Oh wait, I can't do... hang on a second. Alright, there's a way around this.
You are just a fool.
Football Twitter is in the mud for profile pictures. Mbappe season's gonna have to bring out his year 8 art skills. But lads, if you want permission to use my face, you can. As long as you PayPal me £869. On to the football now, and the Ballon D'Or for 2021 was handed out at a ceremony in France to Lionel Messi. My boy Lewandowski's been robbed again.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But
it's not that Leo doesn't deserve it. He dragged a very underperforming Barcelona in the first half of the calendar year, and of course won the Copa America. But for me, Lewandowski's been more consistent. He's broken more personal, individual records, and Leo's been pretty shocking in France by his own high standards. And it seems Thomas Muller agrees, suggesting that the same happened back in 2013, and that Bayern will now look for revenge when they next face Barca. Bro, he doesn't even play for Barcelona anymore. How are they holding smoke?
Why did I get picked up?
At least Lewandowski won an award, although it was the best striker and the trophy did look like a digestive biscuit. But I'm sure Big Robert will celebrate anyway. Not like that though. Please, for the love of... That is the most circular thing on a stage featuring bald Didier Drogba. He sat back down in the crowd and plotted his revenge against Leo, and he was still annoyed driving back in the car afterwards.
Messi's alright. Messi's alright. He does a few steps. He's basic though. I'm better than Messi. I'm up there with him.
Messi could retire and they would create a new award for retired players. And the FIFA Senior Citizen of the Year. For fuck's sake. Now, for real though, as I mentioned, Leo collected his 7th golden ball of his footballing career, which now takes him well clear of the opposition. In the run-up, there was a lot of talk on Jorginho potentially winning. Whilst he's had a good season trophies-wise and was, in fairness, pretty instrumental at the Euros for Italy, a top 3 finish for him seemed a little bit over the top, especially when you considered he missed a penalty in the shootout final, and that is basically his entire personality trait. Mbappe didn't seem impressed to lose out to him in P9. That's a violation as well, because this award is in France. Half the voters are PSG fans. United once again dodged a bullet with the Anthony Martial Ballon d'Or winner clause. This French fan wasn't impressed by Jorginho beating Benzema.
C'est du vol! Non! Non! Je me calme pas! C'est pas possible! 30e! Merde, j'en ai marre de ça! Tout le temps, ils volent Messi! C'est un scandale!
I don't know, man. I don't know. Just a strange guy, man. I don't know, he's a fucking weirdo.
And having smashed up his TV, he'll have missed Esteban Ocon and Alonso handing out one of the trophies. Yeah, Fernando, the Alonso that can actually drive. So Lionel Messi wins yet another Ballon d'Or, and his stats were very impressive for the season. But was Robert Lewandowski robbed? Let me know down in the comments section. Over at Goodison Park, and Everton were rolled over by Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, losing 4-1, being a worst home defeat to their rivals since the 80s. It left some Everton fans leaving 20 minutes in with the score 2-0. On a day where Spotify Rap was released, their viewing figures aren't looking too great. Salah scored 2 once again and was calm and composed with both finishes, even with these quite outrageous distraction tactics from the crowd. Diogo Jota also got himself on the score sheet for a 2nd game in a row. The game before against Southampton, he had to leave a FIFA tournament early to go and play the game, and scored a brace in it. And with Everton in such poor form, Liverpool fans were singing Rafa's at the wheel in the away end, which is obviously very harsh. He's won as a Champions League, boys, and he's ruining the blue side of Merseyside from the inside out, bro. Like, he's doing the job. But if we stole the 3 points, at least nobody stole the football this time. Chelsea's first game of the week saw them draw 1-1 against United in the league. Now, the big news ahead of this game was Cristiano Ronaldo naming himself on the bench, which caused a level of discussion on Sky Sports.
Ronaldo was never going to get Man United back winning league titles.
What was the point in saying them?
Come back and win trophies. Did you win the trophies?
What
Did you win the FA? Did you win the FA Cup? Did you like winning the FA Cup?
Yeah, they come back to win the FA Cup and get the Champions League.
But you've got to ask yourself what Paul Pogba's doing in all of. Gary Neville was watching the implosion at home and loving it. The argument was to do with Cristiano Ronaldo and United's relatively low expectations, with Carragher suggesting that Ronaldo would have gone to United to win the Premier League, whereas Roy Keane said he was going there merely to compete. Rio Ferdinand commented on Carragher not winning any leagues, so he wasn't an expert in the topic, before Carragher then exposed Rio for wanting to sack off United and go to Chelsea when Sir Alex Ferguson left. It was all getting a bit heated, to be honest. I was half expecting Jamie Redknapp to out Roy Keane for drug trafficking or some madness. The first half was tricky to say the least for United, with these being their average positions. They were held hostage in their own half. Was Eric Bailly in goal as well? No, use your hands for the ball, not the opposition. Harry Maguire was suspended for this one and was still catching strays from Rafael van der Vaart.
English media, typewriters ready please. He's going to talk about Harry Maguire now. Hoe vond je hem de laatste tijd? Hij pakt rood tegen Watford.
He's really shit.
But in the second half, and United capitalised on a Jorginho error to take the lead, but were pegged back later on by a Jorginho penalty. Fred had the chance to win it for United late on, but he's Fred, so it didn't really come to any. It was also the first game since the announcement that Ralf Rangnick would be taking over as manager till the end of the season, even if Eric Cantona seemed to think it was going to be him taking over.
Hello my friends, I would like to tell you in exclusivity that I am the new manager of Manchester United. I will tell you later.
Thomas Tuchel must have been a little bit baffled arriving at the dugout.
Hold on. I swear that's Ralph and them, man. Come.
He's one of the forefathers of modern tactics, so I don't know how these lot are going to survive a first training session with him. He's going to have United fans explaining the Gegenpress system everywhere they go.
So when we have a ball-playing centre-back, it changes the whole game. Do you see what I mean? It changes the whole... Because the register...
He did at least watch his new side beat Arsenal 3-2 at Old Trafford in the second game of the week. Cristiano Ronaldo won the game for United with his 800th and 801st career goals. Ollie was watching Ron save United at home, realising he'd seen this script before. But the maddest part of this game was the first, where Arsenal took the lead after Fred accidentally injured David De Gea and Emile Smith-Rowe smashed the ball into the empty net while the Spanish goalkeeper was on the floor. Was it very sporting from Arsenal?
You're cheat.
I mean, technically it's not a foul because it's a United player that's done it, and it's not a head injury. It's funny as well because Fred's actually playing alright at the moment, but he could just Batista bomb one of his teammates at any given time. One man who is not playing well though is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who's finally reached the crossover point where his gymnastics are better than his football, and the guy from the old Deno videos is still better than him. If I'm Arsenal, I'm not letting him back in the establishment after African Cup of Nations. But for Michael Carrick, it was the end for him at Manchester United, as he decided to step away from the club altogether after the result. I respect him cutting loose before it all inevitably goes wrong. Either that or he just couldn't take another day of training Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I don't know. A stupid amount of snow took over the Premier League action over the weekend. We had a game of where's the ball over at Leicester versus Watford, and it wasn't a huge amount better at the Etihad either. Not only because of the weather, but also because of the pre-game entertainment outside the stadium.
Go on, lad.
It was a little better inside the stadium though, with some Declan Rice blasting out of the speakers. At least one of the city stewards was enjoying the weather. It even got the Burnley-Tottenham game postponed due to adverse conditions, but not adverse enough for Sean Dyche to put on a coat. Fucking hell, lads, it's boiling out here. If it was socially acceptable, he'd have been out there bare-chested, no shirt, no vocal cords. And it wasn't exactly ideal for these Spurs fans, who came all the way from Dallas in America to watch their beloved side, only for the game to be called off. So you had to set foot in Burnley, and you didn't even get to see the game. But at least it would have been better for them in Europe, right?
Club. club. Look at it.
Tottenham lost to Slovenian outfit smith-rowe 2-1 in their most recent Conference League group stage match.
Tottenham is the history of the Tottenham.
Mura do have history within the Slovenian game, but this kind of Phoenix version of the club has only existed for 9 years. They're still in primary school, and Slovenian tax divided by 3. They're 3 years old. Ryan Sessegnon was hoping to impress new manager Antonio Conte. That didn't last long, however. And in a basement battle where both are firmly still captive within the basement, Norwich and Newcastle played out a 1-1 draw. Head of Norwich, Delia Smith, seemed enthralled by the action, but at least she wasn't assaulted in the crowd like this Newcastle fan. The reality is Eddie Howe now has to work out how he's going to motivate Erling Haaland for Coventry away. Meanwhile, internationally, and England's Lionesses eased to victory over Latvia, with their most recent qualifier ending 20-0. 20 goals, Jeremy! That's insane! You're 8-0 down to England at half-time. What do you even say to the players as they head out? Well, at least that's that game over. Stephanie, there's still another 45 minutes to go. Look, girls, this isn't over. The next goal's still crucial. All you've got to do is go out and win the second half. 4 goals for England in the World Cup qualifier. Oh, forget about it. You're all finished. I did feel for the goalkeeper as she also made a mistake for England's 18th, though the game was probably past Latvia at that point. Either that or she had a bet on over 19.5 goals. I can't quite work it out. The thing is, this is going to lead to lazy comments about the women's game, about the lack of quality that there may be for some teams. But it shouldn't take away from the skill level of this England side. We still have to deal with San Marino in the men's side, and look, I know San Marino were not this bad, but there's other variables when it comes to the women's game, like every nation not exactly taking women's football seriously. There's probably not even anywhere to train for most of these lot back home. In the Bundesliga, and I don't know what's going on in Germany, but the kids there are really going through it. Erling Haaland was out for some weeks after a hip injury and returned for a game against Wolfsburg. He came on as a sub and scored within 10 minutes. His celebration didn't exactly go down well with the Wolfsburg fans. In Italy, and Juventus are threatened with the possibility of relegation to Serie B, and that's just on their current form. They've been involved in a scandal where apparently they're inflating the valuations of their players illegally. At least the second division is a league they can win. I mean, well, actually...
Strange guy, man.
Leicester fans were going after Russian side Spartak Moscow after their result in the Europa League. Spartak responded saying this was the only top 4 finish they weren't gonna bottle. Jesus Lord. It's a shithousery award for the boys. And it's been a week of big wins in the women's game, because over in Belgium, and they beat Armenia 19-0. We need the idea of throwing in the towel in the game of football. I've had enough of this. Over in Portugal, and there's a crazy story involving Belenenses right now, who had to have their most recent game abandoned against Benfica after going down to 6 men. Incredibly, after COVID swept through their entire squad, they were still forced to play against Benfica. They did so with 2 goalkeepers playing outfield and a number of under-18s. But as soon as they got an injury in the second half, the referee was forced to abandon the game because they simply didn't have enough players. Over in Uruguay, and for the Copa Libertadores final, Palmeiras became the first team in 20 years to retain their trophy. And there was some serious time wasting going on late on. What are you aiming for here? Oh yeah, the ref's gonna send himself off, is he? Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back, by popular demand, for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Closer to home, and one Arsenal fan got his beloved side into the Champions League final and decided that he would set up the PC so that his entire family could watch him play out the final and try and win the silverware on Football Manager. In true Arsenal fashion, he lost it 4-0, and his family members booed him out of the living room at half-time. Gareth Southgate was spotted at a Leeds game, scouting for even more defenders. That Stuart Dallas guy looks good. He's Northern Irish, Gareth. What are you? Demba Ba appears to be making the most of his time living in Turkey for the last 5 years. Meanwhile, Micah Richards and Alan Shearer were comparing their best starting 11 made up of players they've personally played with. Micah, having played for City as they were building a dynasty, had a lot of good names. He wasn't so impressed with Alan's picks, though.
I've gone Rob Lee and Tim Sherwood. That's terrible! 20-odd caps for England. That's disgraceful behaviour.
Up in Scotland, and Rangers fans were keeping themselves entertained pre-kick-off with the snow. Meanwhile, in France, and Neymar suffered a nasty ankle ligament injury in the league this week. The poor guy just cannot catch a break injury-wise. Wishing him a speedy recovery, because this ankle looks like a trigonometry question in maths. Apparently, one commentator suggested he might be out long enough to witness his sister's birthday again.
That one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have.
We've got a science experiment going on down in the south of the Republic of Ireland. Does that count as a 1-2? Or in Turkey, an linesman accidentally almost knocked the eye out of a forward whilst he was trying to keep the ball in play. In Norway, and there were ridiculous scenes in their top flight, as players from Viking, namely the goalkeeper and one of their defenders, got into a scuffle at the end of the game. The goalkeeper actively dived onto the floor and got his own defender sent off. I simply don't know. You would stay. Why would you go down? Even more wild scenes, this time in the Danish second division, where Esbjerg's goalkeeper got sent off, giving away a penalty late on. Striker Emile Holton put on the goalkeeping gloves and saved the resulting penalty. And on the topic of pens, over in Nigeria,
penalty to do you ní fóònù mi fẹ́ kú yìí o. Okay, lele bagba sí okay. Okay. Ilé ìsìlẹ̀ tí màá gbé bọ̀ ilé ìsè.
Now though, for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, now Romania is one of many countries in Europe still dealing with a COVID crisis at the moment, and their government has announced there's a new curfew for people wanting to go to football games. The problem is with that, their next set of games start at 9 PM and the curfew's at 9:30, which means all fans are going to have to leave the stadium half an hour into the next match. I mean, Everton fans wouldn't have a problem with that, to be fair. So over in Argentina, and I don't know what is going on this year, but there's just an abundance of dogs deciding they want to be footballers. Staying in Argentina and in the youth leagues.
Y Perrone la sacó para Seoane. Uy, no.
Lo va a tener que expulsar. Sí.
Y sí.
Se equivocó.
Why is this tackle so aggressive? The ball is there to be won. You didn't need to snap his leg off. Over in Malaysia, and someone's clearly been watching too much Bafatimbi Gomis, the celebrations are just as interesting over in Egypt with Al Ahly this week as well. Fans in Argentina, and specifically Boca Juniors, are starting pretty early right now. He's happy at the moment. Little does he realise this game is full of pain and depression.
Are you ready?
Meanwhile, in the MLS Cup playoffs, and we witnessed perhaps the worst penalty shootout of all time, as Nashville faced off against Philadelphia Union and failed to score any of their 4 spot kicks during the entire shootout, with 2 being saved and 2 just being outright disgraceful. In Thailand, and it's fair to say we've got a bit of an aerial mismatch here. Meanwhile, there's some suspicious activity going on between the players and the refs in Brazil. Now though, it's time for still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is of course the segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And you know what? For once, we've actually got some ability to show this week, because I challenge you to find a better goal in university football this year. On to the weird stuff though now. In Sweden, after Varberg surprisingly beat Djurgården in the top flight, it prevented Djurgården, the home side, from being able to win the league going into the final day. Fans of their fierce rivals AIK decided they were going to donate funds to Varbergs for beating them, and the value of the donation so far has risen to 50,000 krona. In the lower leagues of England, and Curzon Ashton faced off against Chester this week, their game had to be halted 15 minutes in as the referee had to go and move his car outside the ground. Over in Paraguay, and a $2 million drugs bust was one of the biggest stories of their week, probably also due to the fact that there was Liverpool badges printed across the entire thing. I don't think the club has anything to do with this, but that would explain the high energy, to be fair. And finally, 2 things. First of all, wishing the best to Formiga, the women's international legend in her retirement, having had a 26-year international career. The women's game truly will not be the same without her, having been around for so long. wrong. And finally, just wishing the best in speedy recoveries for fans who were both at the Southampton game and the Watford-Chelsea game as well, having been taken ill in the crowd. Best wishes go to them and their families, and once again wishing them a speedy recovery. That though is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.